It had a lot of science in it, and as a university student who liked to drink a lot, it was a very affordable way to get drunk, but also kind of put together a lot of science and creativity at the same time. When I finished university, I really thought I was going to be a wastewater engineer because I really liked that. And I did do it for a little bit, and it was good. It smelled really bad, but yeah. Yeah, so I kind of got into the fermentation of a liquid you could consume as opposed to a fermentation that you would just throw into the ocean, right? So my hobby of home brewing led me to wanting to get better at what I'm doing. And one of the best ways you can do that is become a beer judge. So a lot of people think, a beer judge, that is the greatest thing ever. I would love to become a beer judge. Give me your beer. But it's not entirely like that. It's actually kind of gruesome when you go to a homebrew competition and you have to judge, I don't know, maybe like 50 samples of beer and then write a giant page on everyone and be taken serious. So you can't just write "this sucks." But has everyone got a sample? All right, I'm gonna cut my intro down then. So on a BJCP score sheet, there's kind of 5 sections to it. And I noticed that they more or less, except for hearing, correspond to your 5 senses. So when you have your sample of beer in front of you, this is our Apricotopus Sour Apricot Saison. So this is an idea in my head, and then I built the beer based on my knowledge of beer. So no, you have to smell it first. So we're going to go smell the beer. That's the first thing you do because the aroma starts to dissipate first. Don't worry if you drank it, it's fine. You probably smelled it. So we want to look at what you're going to be smelling. So I know some things that I smell in this beer. I mean, it's already interactive, so if anyone wants to yell out some sort of aromas that they smell. Octopus. Yeah. Anything else? I get like some kind of peppery, a little bit of peppery notes. I get like a kind of a soury tartness, and then a bit of apricot. Yeah. So that's kind of the aroma aspects. And then when you fill that out in your judging score sheet, you would then go to, yes, appearance, thank you, girlfriend. Also a judge. You would go to appearance next. And then that is kind of looking at the clarity of the beer, and then your foam on the beer, and then how you kind of want the beer to look. And it is important to have a beer that looks well. Germans are very stickler about foam on their beer. I got hops from a hop farm from a German guy. We made a beer with it, and I was very pleased. He liked the flavor, but he was very disappointed that the foam wasn't that good, which I was like, all right, Germans. So, what does this beer look like? And it's dim. Anyone? A little cloudy, yeah. And then it's kind of a pale yellow, I'd say, yeah. Something like that. Yeah, might be there, right? Yeah, I don't know, cloudy, yes, but I have some mornings like that. But, so then finally, when you're doing this score sheet, you get to go through the taste. And this is the big category where you have to score the most amount of points. Because when it comes to beer, taste is where you really want to focus on. I mean, people drink beer because it tastes good. I mean, aroma is a big component. Sight's a little bit. But, so everyone can taste the beer now if you haven't already tasted it. Yeah, it's all 2 ounces. So, what kind of flavors are you tasting here? Mango. Mango? Yeah. Fruit. Octopus, guys, maybe. We actually, it's a vegan beer. We didn't actually put any octopus in it. So, you're getting these flavors. You get like a bit of like tart. You get the tartness to it as well, right? I mean, some beers you have are like sweeter. This one's got a bit more like a acidity to it. So that's like your big main focus. Hey, does this beer taste good? Maybe you guys don't like it, but that's okay. It sells pretty well. And then after that portion, we go to mouthfeel. So actually, that's how you get your taste component, or your touch component into the beer. It's not actually touching with your hands, but there's a lot of kind of touching components with mouthfeel. When you have a beer, how does it feel in your mouth? Some beers kind of can be very puckering. This one's kind of on the edge of it a little bit, a little acidity. When you have like a Guinness, maybe, you get that kind of velvety cream kind of richness to it. There's all sorts of kind of sensations you would get when you drink the beer. I mean, even the temperature itself can be cold. It can be a lot warmer if you're drinking an English beer. And that's kind of the touch component. Hearing. When you crack a bottle of beer, this is my job. If it doesn't, we have a problem. So whenever I have a beer at work and a new beer and it comes off the bottling line, if it doesn't have the correct, then we have a big issue. Or if it's a lot, then we have even a bigger issue because bottles can explode. So that's the deconstruction of this beer. So maybe you guys have a beer just like me when I used to, and you would just drink it happily and not have to obsess over every little sensation you're getting over the beer and deconstruct it. But now that's my life. So now we got to put this beer back together. Okay, so normally there's 4 ingredients to beer, but you guys have all heard about fruit beers, so we did use fruit in this beer. So there is apricot. We had this idea, we wanted to make an apricot beer, and we wanted to make it tart and light, and then refreshing kind of summer beer. So that's our main goal. We have numbers associated with it, like sugar content, where our alcohol is going to be, but that's the science of this stuff. And then we're here for art, I guess, and where it meets it. And all these gaps that I can't use numbers for, unfortunately, I have to rely on just art and my sensations with my hand or my mouth feel, all these things to kind of come up with how I'm going to get these ingredients to where this beer is going to be. So we know we need apricots. I know I need acidity. I know I need alcohol, and that's going to be brewer's yeast, which produces it. I know I need sugar content, which I'm going to get from apricots, and then I'm going to get from grains. I want this beer to be very light in color. Most beers always use barley, but I'm also going to take advantage of wheat, because wheat is very light in flavor. I don't want too much malt flavors coming through. I want to have apricot flavor kind of shine on top of everything. Oh, good. I got that. So we used that. I also wear a shirt. So we used those two. Those two guys. Brewer's yeast and lactobacillus, which is a bacteria that makes the beer sour. Okay, we got the acidity. Hops, well, I don't really want much hop flavor, so we're going to add just a little bit of those for balance and sweetness. And then we kind of get this idea of all these ingredients coming together, and it's starting to look in my head with my dictionary of flavors that I think this beer might turn out like I want it to. And then you go ahead and you brew it, and you have to rely on the fermentation to go right and everything to go together. At that point, you get very nervous because you don't really know what's going to happen after fermentation. I'm sure the biologists in the room will understand. It doesn't always work the same way. But I mean, this one did, so that was good. Yeah. My cue for question and A is starting, so that's kind of how I deconstruct a beer. And then I do it all the time with beer, but basically how I gotta go, and I relate this a lot to food. When you take a taste of flavor, and if I can get that into a beer, how I'm going to go about constructing the beer to get the flavors I want. And that's kind of what I was talking about, so that's it. So anyway, Thank you. Whew. All right. You got beer too, so. So, any questions? Yes.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, the beer tasted a bit tingly. So that's going to be that mouthfeel component. So when building kind of the sensations for your kind of touch with your mouth, carbonation is going to play a giant impact. So there's two things going on there. One is going to be that lactic acidity. So kind of like when you would have a very tart fruit like a lemon, you're going to get that sort of mouth puckering. And carbonation is going to add that kind of prickly sensation when you have it in your mouth. Sort of like when you have champagne. It's going to provide a lot of bubbles, and it's going to kind of lighten the flavor of the beer as well, as opposed to if you had a very low carbonation, the beer would sit in your mouth for a lot longer. So that's kind of what I think it is. Yeah.